Hi, my name is Julie Caruso, and I'm going to be giving you the overview of this week's lesson in biology. It is week 2, and that is covering dates of April 13th through April 17th. Looking at the weekly lesson, you'll see that our topic is how do organisms regulate their internal environment. In the first section of Observe and Wonder, you're posed with the scenario of an alligator, which is an ectothermic organism, using the external environment to help them regulate their internal temperatures. We want you to start by writing a hypothesis to explain how the alligator survives the cold temperatures. Now, hypothesizing is an important part of learning, especially in science. We want you to take a moment to think about what you already know about this topic and give yourself a point to build onto, and then hopefully correct anything you might have remembered incorrectly as we learn. So please start with the hypothesis. To keep track of your learning in this week's lessons, you'll only need a couple of pieces of paper and everything can be worked off of on those few sheets. So write your hypothesis at the top and then begin reading through the lesson. You'll see as I scroll down that after you've had a chance to read the bullet points here, we'd like you to watch the video about alligators and brumation. The focus for this week is homeostasis. So as you go through these lessons, make sure that you are consistently going back to that idea. Think about how one organism's version of homeostasis is similar or different to your own. When you move into the investigation portion of this week's lessons, we want you to answer the research question, how does the heart maintain homeostasis during and after exercise? So for this investigation, you are going to be the subject, and you can, of course, drag another family member to participate along with you, just for extra data. Now you can do this on the same paper that you wrote your hypothesis above. So you're going to write a hypothesis for this research question about the heart. Then you're going to measure your resting heart rate. And as you can see here, there is a link to help you learn how to measure heart rate. And I recommend watching that just so you have a good idea of how to do it. So you're going to measure your resting heart rate, and then you're going to exercise for a given amount of time, and that's in the procedure below. And then you're going to rest for a couple of minutes and measure your resting heart rate again. To follow this up, I want you to look over the data that you collected, not only about your own resting and exercising heart rates, but hopefully you were able to get a family member involved and have their data as well. And then you're going to draw a conclusion, and you're going to put that conclusion together in a claim evidence reasoning statement. And you can see an outline of it above. And if you click on the link here for claim evidence and reasoning, it'll take you to a graphic that'll help you remember what the individual parts of a claim evidence and reasoning should have. You want to answer questions like, did your heart rate change? How did it change? And you want to make sure that you're using evidence from your investigation. Be sure to write with your best academic writing skills, because this is something that we have to practice in our continuing learning right now, as well as the science concepts in the lessons. After you've completed writing your CER for this investigation, go back and reflect on the initial hypothesis that you wrote for the research question. How does what you know now match up to what you thought you knew beforehand? When you're finished with that, you're going to move into the Learn About It stage. And we've provided an article titled Homeostasis for you, and you're going to get that from the ck12.org website. Once you've had a chance to read through this article, and you can see this article here, make sure that you're taking advantage of the links that are embedded in this article. If you're not sure what the respiratory system is all about, then click on respiratory system and learn some more about it. Everything you see here in this blue-green color will take you to another article that will help you understand what that is. There's also videos embedded in this article, and a summary and some review questions. And please take advantage of all of the different points of learning that we have here. When you're finished going through that, You're going to click back over to our weekly lesson, and we'd like you to take a moment to write 3 things that you learned, 2 things that you found interesting, and 1 thing that you still have a question about. If you want to learn more information about homeostasis, then you can click here, and that is some great information about what homeostasis is and what can cause disruptions to your body's ability to maintain healthy homeostasis. Our next step in Create, we'd like you to draw a diagram of an organism. Pick one, doesn't matter. We want you to label in your model what adaptations that organism has that helps it maintain homeostasis. And it can be about anything that it uses to help maintain homeostasis. Some examples that you could use are, of course, temperature regulation, stress, too much food or water, or not enough food or water. To help guide you, I have some examples of adaptations for temperature regulation in some species, and those can be things like shivering, goosebumps, sweating, panting, basking, or wallowing. And if you're not sure what any of those are, feel free to use Google. Next, we'd like you to demonstrate your learning. You have several choices below, and we're asking that you complete at least one of these, but by all means, please challenge yourself and do more than one. You've got a whole week. You have 6 different options below, but if you're going to pick one of those options, make sure that you do it well and that you do it thoroughly. For the last part of this week's lesson, we provided an area of extension. There's an article that you'd need to read about dehydration, and then we'd like you to design an experiment that would test whether dehydration would affect an organism's homeostasis. We do not want you to experiment on yourself, so please keep that in mind. Now that you've completed the review for this week, we want you to go back and look at the hypothesis that you initially wrote about how the alligator survives in cold temperatures, and think about what you wrote before you went through all this information and what you would write now that you have completed this week's lessons. If you have any questions at all, please reach out to your biology teacher, and we hope that you have a safe and happy week.